We had a couple of Mizzou guys in ownership that were especially motivated. And when we saw that we had a chance to take a guy as talented as Michael and also as good a person as Michael, we were ecstatic. The room erupted. We told Jarrett, no pressure, being the 41st pick. Our last 41st pick is a pretty good player. We were, in the second round, we were really only targeting one or two guys. We expected to get off the pick. We have a lot of young guys, as is. And then when we thought we had a chance at Jared, we were extremely aggressive and unbelievably fortunate to have him. And then Thomas had the most dramatic draft night story. We're trying to get Thomas late, talking to him on the phone, trying to get him to get a sense he was still going to be there. It was a guy we worked out last week, a guy that we followed closely in his 4 years at UCLA. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a better shooting five in the draft. So collectively, we got very fortunate to have three great players, and by all accounts, from all the background, we've done great guys. Look forward to getting to know these guys and ask them some questions.
Hey, Michael, what's just these last few hours been like, going back to last night when you found out Denver was going to take you, and then stepping into the building this morning, just kind of what's the emotions you're feeling?
Yeah, no, it's been a whirlwind, 24 hours. Going into the draft, I had no idea where I was going. And like he just said, that was the first time we talked yesterday. But, hopping off the plane, it just felt like home. And then, finally getting here, I'm super excited.
Michael, you said last night basketball's kind of come easy to you in your life. Always been a top-ranked player in the country. What did the last year? What did it just teach you? A season away from basketball. What did it do for you? What did you learn?
I mean, I learned a lot. It's hard. When everything comes easy to you, and then like something like that happens, and you kind of have to take a different approach and take it slowly. He's been through the same thing, so it's hard. But our paths are a little different. But we both know that we're gonna make it eventually. And then we're gonna be 100%, and we're gonna surprise a lot of people and prove a lot of people wrong. So it's just a little different route to get to our destination.
Michael, if the season had to start today, would you be ready to play today?
That'd be up to coach. I feel like, I could play, but it's up to coach if he wanted to put me out there.
But I mean, healthy enough to play. Are you healthy enough to play right now?
I could play, but I could get even healthier, so.
Michael, what did you learn through the rehab process? I'm guessing that's the first time you've been out of basketball for that length of time, but what did you learn about yourself through that process?
You learn a lot. Just going through adversity, you got to look at the positive side of things. There's hard days. There's days where you doubt yourself, and, that's what you got the people around you for, is to lift you up. And and then also you just find out what you're made of, if you're going to bounce back or if you're just going to, pout. So for me, it was just, a bump in the road that I had to get over.
Michael, there's probably not a lot of players in this draft who have kind of a more experienced basketball family than you. Can you just describe having that so deep in your family, the game, being born into it, what that's been like growing up in? Yeah,
like you said, my mom and my dad both played college ball, so they had kind of been through it, so it was good for me for them to give me pointers, going through it. And then just growing up, we all love basketball. We're just a basketball family, and that's what we do. So it's just all came natural.
Hey, Michael, when healthy, obviously you've handled everything on the basketball court really well. And like you said last night, it's come easily for you. But are you at least bracing for the possibility that basketball could become difficult for the first time?
I've heard that this, the staff here, physical therapists and everything are great, and I'm gonna work my butt off, to get 150%. And once that happens, I have no doubt in my mind that basketball, that'll take care of itself.
Jared, can you talk a little bit about your, your draft night and what the emotions were like for you when getting selected here in Denver?
It was a surreal moment, like Mike said, I had no idea I was coming to Denver. So when I got that call right before, they said my name, I was extremely excited to come to a great program, and I'm really just grateful for this opportunity to even be here. So it's a blessing.
Thomas, you didn't shoot any threes your first 3 years in college. You shot a lot your senior season. You shot it well. Was that an adjustment to what you thought your team needed then, or increasing your value as an NBA prospect?
I think a little bit of both. I think being able to shoot the ball is something I've always been able to do at a high level. And those first 3 years, I thought I was a pretty efficient shooter, shooting from about 15 to 18 feet range. So, yeah, this senior year, it was just a progression as I just needed to stretch out my range and get it to the three-point line. So, getting the extra point on that shot, we'll take it every time. So it's just been a progression for me and trying to help my team out as well.
Michael, going through the draft evaluation process and having the hip spasms, to explain what that's like to be a player and having to deal with something like that. How does it restrict your game, and how does one kind of recover from that?
That was the first time, something like that has happened to me. Everything was going really smooth. If you would have asked me a week ago if I felt ready to play, I would have said, yeah. I had a minor setback, so that's why I got the MRI. I was lucky enough, nothing crazy happened. So I think it's just a minor setback. But it's just, I've been through adversity, so it's nothing new. But that's not regular, and I don't expect health to be an issue down the road.
Michael and Joe, you guys have had some experience playing together at USA Basketball, correct? And just kind of give the scouting report on one another of what you think the Nuggets are getting here.
When people ask me who's the player that you like going against least, just because they match up well with you, I always say Jared, because he's big, strong, and fast, and he can play defense. He moves his feet well, and he's kind of a point forward who just helps make the game easier for everybody. So I feel like being on the same floor with him, it's going to be crazy, and I think our games will mesh really well.
Yeah, like Mike said, I think we really complement each other well. He's a tremendous player, can score at all three levels, and I'm just glad we get to be on the same team now.
Thomas, you were here not too long ago for a workout, and I'm wondering, on that day, did you realize how much this team liked you? How much did it dawn on you that this might be your destination?
Yeah, I feel like there was some interest going in, but for these workouts and just throughout this process, I just focused on being my best every day and coming out and working as hard as I could in each of these workouts. And I thought this would be a great spot for me, and so I definitely focused in on this one in particular. So I'm really just excited to be here, and yeah, I think it's just a great opportunity.
For all three of you guys, how much time have you spent in Denver previous to today, and then what are some of your first impressions upon landing here today of the city?
For me, this is actually my first time in Denver. I've been in Colorado Springs a few times for USA Basketball, but I was actually surprised. It's actually a nice city, especially coming downtown. I had no idea how it was going to look, but like I said, it's a nice city, and I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I've been, like he said, Colorado Springs, so I love Colorado. I've never been I don't think I've been to Denver. I might have when I was younger, but I like it here. New York, coming from New York to here, I like this way better. So I'm happy to be here.
Played against Colorado, the Buffaloes, a couple times, so I've been here for that, and took a visit here as well. It's a beautiful city and sure feels like home, so I'm really glad to be here.
Hey, Michael, you've been such a prolific scorer throughout your playing career. Coming into a Nuggets team that's been one of the best offenses in the league, how do you see your game meshing with the likes of Jokic and Jamal Murray and guys like Gary Harris and Paul Millsap?
Yeah, I think it'll mesh perfectly. Like you said, they like to score the ball, and that's what I like to do. And also, I feel like this is a very unselfish team from just watching from afar. So I think we could be a great scoring team, and on the defensive end, work on that as well, and be a great team all around. So I feel like I'll mesh perfectly.
Hey, Jared, when you look at your rebounding numbers in college, they're pretty insane when you're out on the floor. What is it about your mentality and your game that allows you to be so good at that aspect of it?
I would say the main thing was just, for one, I had the game taken away from me, so you get to appreciate the game a lot more. So that gave me a chip on my shoulder just to go out there and play as hard as I can, go after every ball, and just have a consistent motor. That's one thing you can control. All the other stuff, it's sometimes out of your hands. So that's one thing you control. So that's why I tried to be active, and especially going to Kentucky, that was one of my specific roles. And and being a versatile guy, I could fill a lot of roles. So that was my specific role. So I tried to key in on that, and just be successful at rebounding.
Michael, clearly you're one of the top athletic talents in the draft. Last night, though, how frustrating was it for you that you were slipping when you knew you should have been much higher?
Like last week, before that hip stuff, the teams at the very top of the draft had kind of told me I was their guy, and then that happened, and then, once one team gets scared, they all get scared, you know what I mean? So going into draft night, though, I had no expectations because I knew, there was questions around it. So I was just, wherever I landed, I just felt like that was going to be the situation for me, and it was just God's plan for me. So when Denver called my name, I never even thought about that being a possibility. But then as soon as they called my name, it was amazing. So,
Michael, you, with your size, do you think you could set up as a small forward? Can you play that position, considering this team is got some size and experience at power forward?
Yeah, I would say I'm most comfortable as small forward, but I feel like throughout the game, I'm one of those guys that can play multiple positions and feel pretty comfortable.
Michael, obviously you just got here, but have those conversations with the medical staff here already begun in terms of what the next plan is for you, even for the coming weeks, and sort of what's going to be in place to make sure you come back the right way?
We haven't had them yet, but that's definitely one of the first things we'll do, and that's what I'm really looking forward to, just getting that plan together, and started working with those guys, and working as hard as I can every day to come back 150% and be as good as ever. So,
Jared, your defense and your rebounding, there's been a lot made about that, but what about your game do people not know about because you didn't play as much at Kentucky and things like that?
Part of my game, I feel like I didn't get to showcase as much. Was just my ball handling and playmaking abilities. I displayed a lot in high school basketball, but considering that role that I had in Kentucky, my main role was to be the defensive guy on the team, to be a rebounder, and I pretty much just wanted to bring that winner's mentality. So, but I feel like I can be a very versatile guy, play 1 through 5, defend 1 through 5, and just bring energy to any team.
Jared, coming from Kentucky, what did you learn from that program, and have you talked to either Trey Lyles or Jamal Murray coming in here?
Coming from Kentucky, I learned a lot. For one, they just teach you how to be a pro. Especially me going through adversity, they taught you that, you're gonna go through that with the game of basketball and with life in general. And it's not what you go through; it's just how you respond to it. And the coaching staff, they stayed on me. They had a plan for me, and they were just very supportive and just very involved. I appreciate them for that. And as far as for Jamal and Trey, I have not talked to them yet, but I have met Jamal last year. He came down and played pickup with the Kentucky guys, but I haven't met Trey yet, so looking forward to it.
Michael, there were several prominent NBA players on Twitter last night saying, hey, MPJ is, this guy's the real deal. You guys passing on him. What does that mean to you to get that support of guys in the league who you probably respect quite a bit?
Yeah, it means a lot. In Seattle, there's a lot of those guys come up there for the summer, so we would, every day go to the gym and have runs. Isaiah Thomas, Jamal Crawford, Nate Robinson, Spencer Halls, a bunch of guys would be up there and we'd be playing. So, but just to have the respect of those guys and those guys to respect my game, it means a lot. So.
Thomas, when you were in about a week ago, I know you were really excelling at shooting threes. Is there anything else in your game that you can provide to the NBA that you feel that you specifically can give at the next level?
I think rebounding will be important for me as well. I think that's one thing that I've continued to grow at throughout my 4 years at UCLA, and I think that's something that I've been working on definitely, and I think that's another thing I can bring to this team.
Michael, you mentioned running with a lot of NBA guys over the summers. Have you played with any of the guys currently on this roster? Do you know any of them? And if not, what excites you most about this Nuggets team and this Nuggets roster?
Jamal Murray, I remember going to a couple camps with him back in high school. I don't know how he got 3 years ahead of me because we were the same age. But so I know him. But the thing that excites me most is just the unselfishness that I feel like this team will have, and that's what the coaches have told me. And come to the NBA, sometimes teams are just a bunch of individuals. And I feel like a team that has that culture where guys want to play together and there's no egos, that's what makes the best teams. So.
Michael, just generally speaking, what's your ceiling as an NBA player? How good do you think you can be in this league?
Well, I know I could be one of the best players in this league. And it's up to me to reach that potential, and it's up to God to allow me to reach that potential. But I know that I could be one of the best players in this league one day.
Thomas, having 4 years of college experience, how do you think that will help you in the NBA?
I think it's been great for me personally. I mean, just getting that basketball experience at an extremely high level. I think I've learned a ton over my 4 years. I think I'm a much better player now than I was even last year. So, I think it's been great for my progression, and I'm just really excited to continue my career here.